Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. Remember, new episodes come out every Tuesday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone. And tell a friend. Keep helping grow the show. Today, we got an action-packed week. We're going to talk a little Celtics going into the playing game. And also the NBA playoff format. Red Sox, Danny Football made his debut at the Woo Sox. Patriots schedule came out, so we'll talk about that and the Hall of Fame induction, which you know what that means. We're going to play Fame or Lame. All that and more on this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I'm joined by Danny Football.
What's up? What's up, Big Red? What's going on?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Big week in sports, Danny Football. I
Big
feel
week
like
in life, man. Big week in life.
This is a
The
big
world
week
itself.
in life. Is right.
The state of
Forget about
Massachusetts.
sports. Massachusetts is opening at the end of this month. It's unbelievable.
It's about time.
Went to bed last night. We woke up this morning. We had no idea what was about to happen to us. And
Someone equated it to
Red Sox.
It feels like we're in the last week of elementary school or something like that. We're almost there. We're almost there, guys.
Red Sox announced that they're going to be after the date that what was it, 29th
May
of
29th.
May. They're going back to full capacity. Patriots announced after May 29th. Gillette's going back to full capacity. Unbelievable.
Garden will be full capacity. Polar Park hopefully will be full capacity.
Now the Garden said they're gonna come up with something in the coming days and announce it, but I'm assuming it's gonna be full capacity.
It has to be. I would hope so, especially if they have playoff hockey there.
I would think so, right? I don't know. We'll have to see, but we're progress people. I feel like we're keep moving forward. Stay positive, keep moving forward. Something also to stay positive, Danny Football mentioned, playoff hockey. Bruins just tied it up, but they're going to overtime. Danny Football has a stare on his face like he's like just
They showed the tying goal, and they worked that baby in.
So we're going into OT. I mean, first game went into OT, and it was a tough loss. But
this is a big swing game. This is the difference between going 1-1 or 0-2. So got to have this one.
Got to have it. Hopefully, Chara doesn't knock us out of the playoffs. That would be even more.
Don't say that. He's definitely going to win. He's definitely going to get the winner now. Jesus Christ.
He's going to have salt in an open wound. But we don't have to worry about that. They're going to go ahead right now. Tuca's going to play great down the stretch. Why are you making a face at that?
He had a pretty soft goal earlier in the first period, but that's all right.
He's had a few soft goals in the first two games.
That's okay.
That's okay. I have faith in Tuca. All you Tuca haters, I don't get it, man. Well, I do kind of get it, but lay off him a little bit. So hopefully Danny Football doesn't give off a really sad groan in the next 5. He's getting nervous. I can tell when he's
ramping up, baby. It's almost time.
We'll
check back in. We'll check back in.
Yeah. But let's move on to our other Garden sport that we all love to hate, the Celtics. I mean, they had a pretty pitiful end of the season. Talk about running out of gas. We talked about JT got hurt and he's out for the year. I mean, they were out of it with 2 games left, so they played their bench, and I gotta say their bench was more enjoyable to watch than their starting unit.
Who was even on the floor for the game you went to?
I had the starting lineup.
Oh,
dude.
okay.
That was when they still had a shot to make it in out of the playoff game, and they looked trash, dude. They were offensively really we scored a lot. We turned the ball over for a stretch, and that's kind of what did it. But we scored, I think, I got to look back at that Heat game. I want to say we scored 114 points or 120 points. It was like you should win that game. That shouldn't happen. Like you shouldn't. They just happened to give up like 130. Like there was no heart on the defensive end of the ball. No fight back. There was like 3 possessions in a row where we gave off like wide open looks in the corner. Oh, my computer's acted up. Gave up wide open looks in the corner. Just embarrassing. Like miscommunications. It was embarrassing to watch. It was irritating. And then it's irritating because they make such good plays to get back in the game. Like even at the end, they cut it to like a 5-point lead and then they just gave it up again. It was just pitiful. And so I don't know about you. My faith is not too high. Yeah, we lost 129. The 2 Heat games, we lost 130 to 124 and 129 to 121. Like when you score 121 points, you should win the game.
I mean, this has been the theme of the whole season. I want to hold myself accountable here because I know for a fact at least halfway through the season, one of these episodes, I said they just needed time and they just needed to get healthy. Well, time ran out and they never got healthy. So this team, for every intents and purpose, this team sucks.
Danny even said it.
We never had our full complement of players. We never had a healthy lineup. And they never strung the wins together that we needed. I know they had a pretty good April, but, it doesn't matter if you're not going to close it out in May, and they didn't close it out in May. And now here we are in the play-in game. A couple of weeks ago, we were hoping for a 4 seed, and now we barely scrape into the playoffs. I think it's embarrassing considering where we were last year. Like you said, Danny admitted this isn't a championship caliber team, and yet he didn't make any moves to change that. I mean, I really don't know how we go through this offseason without major changes. And by major changes, I don't mean trading Jason Tatum like some people are ready to pull the panic button on Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown, who got injured, which is horrible injury, but again, we can't start, hitting the panic button on him. But whether it's the bench, whether it's some of the other role players, something has to change because this team just isn't good enough to compete as it's constructed, and Danny has to be held accountable for that because, like I said before the season started, he decided to stand pat. He decided to roll with the team he had, and he watched the rest of the Eastern Conference pass him by, and now the New York Knicks are a 4 seed and we're a 7 seed.
And really, like I said last week, I don't think it would have taken that much. He could have done small moves. I think the problem with Danny has always been he wants to go big or go home. He wants to make the
if he doesn't completely fleece you, he's not taking the deal.
Or if he's not getting a top player in the league, he's not going to do it. Like if he's not getting KG, he's not going to do it. If he's not getting Ray, he's not going to do it. If he's not getting Kyrie, he's not going to do it. Grant, Fournier, and Vucevic, those 3 people. I mean, we got Fournier, so I guess you can't say much. But you've seen how much of an impact he's made. Like when he's healthy and not has the COVID, he's actually been pretty effective.
If only he didn't have COVID for 3 months somehow. That was crazy.
Right. So if you look at it, if you added him, Vucevic, or in Grant, like those 3 guys, Grant was rumored to be 2 second-round picks. Trade a first for him. Try to figure out how to get Vucevic with young players in a first and get Fournier. Imagine where you'd be right now. You'd have an all-star center. You'd have 2 guys that can score off your bench. Even I mentioned last week the guy that's playing got traded to the Bucks, PJ Tucker, defensive guy, like small role players. Which is what we need to make this team better. That's all we needed. Some veteran role-playing type guys. And we didn't do it. Harrison Barnes. Give me Harrison Barnes. That would have been fine. Guy who has championship experience. Can play a little D. Has some scoring. Like, I don't feel like we needed – like people say, oh, we needed Anthony Davis. We needed,
I mean, Anthony Davis would have been nice, but it was
oh,
never.
he would have helped. I'm not
It
saying
would have
that.
never happened though.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, sure, would a guy like Anthony Davis help like be easier to win? Yeah, but I feel like this team didn't need all that. We just needed to not be having Carson Edwards, Peyton Pritchard, Romeo Langford, Nate Smith, and those type guys get 20 minutes for some games. Like they literally, some of these guys are getting 20 minutes. First guys off the bench. Carson Edwards in the Heat game was the first guy off the bench when Kemba got hurt. He got tweaked something, and then
It's a hard pill to swallow when you go from Miles Turner possibly coming here, John Collins possibly coming here to, okay, we signed Jabari Parker, okay, and Danny Ainge, he's watching the same basketball games we have been all season. This team clearly struggled. This team clearly had a health problem. They had a COVID problem. They couldn't stay healthy injury-wise and COVID-wise. This team was never able to get any chemistry going. They lost games they were supposed to win, and they got blown out in games they should have been close with. And he decided to, like we said, he stood pat or made minimal moves, and this is where we're at. Playing in the play-in tournament to even get a chance to play the Nets.
So looking at you mentioned the play-in tournament. We got 4 games in the play-in tournament. Which, are you a fan? I forget what you said. Are you a fan of the play-in tournament?
Yeah, because I think it incentivizes those middle of the road teams to actually try. Because I mean, honestly, what was Charlotte going to do if there wasn't a play-in tournament? They probably would have packed it in.
Yeah,
and then
like LaMelo wouldn't have come
Indiana
back.
probably would have packed it in, and then maybe, or even maybe they start playing for the 8 seed. I don't know, but it gives you a free basketball game. It gives you a free home game if you're Indiana or Boston. So, more money for the league, more money for the teams. But I'm not LeBron James hating on it. So,
yeah. Well, speaking of LeBron James, that's actually a series I'm kind of looking forward to. I'm looking forward to. Golden State versus LA. Neither of us are picking this for picks of the week. What do you think about that game? Who do you think gets that one?
I think Golden State, man, they're hot.
They're hot.
Golden State's hot, and I think the Lakers they're not cold because they have their full complement of players back, but I think Golden State's better right now, head to head.
Yeah, I was talking about this with someone today. I think Golden State wins that game, but I think I don't see the Lakers losing to Memphis or San Antonio in game 2. I don't foresee that happening.
Fair.
So I think those 2 teams are coming out of the West with the 7 and 8 seed. But I think you're right. Golden State's hot, man, and they're going to play a hot Phoenix team round 1.
That'll be a really good series.
And then Utah versus the Lakers. I mean, Utah's trying to make a name for themselves. That's going to be a good series too, to be honest with you. And then we get over to the East, and it's like Indiana, Charlotte. It's a toss-up. You know what I mean? That's one of those teams is my pick of the week. Ironically enough, the other game, Boston, Washington, is another pick of the week, but not to tell you what it is yet. I was thinking about this today. I mean, I don't think Boston's in any way to really try to control this, but is it honestly better if Boston loses against Washington and then wins the second game
to get to Philly?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather play Philly than Brooklyn right now because Brooklyn, like I said, in the case of the Warriors, they're probably the hotter team. I know Philly's really good, but I think the Nets are hotter.
And I feel like they match up better.
Yeah, I was going to say we match up better with the Sixers. We have a good postseason history against them recently. But at this point, I can't advise this team to start purposely losing a game.
I'm more of saying, like, I can at least feel better about myself when they lay an egg against Washington.
I'd rather them come out, blow out Washington, and actually look like themselves.
No, I know.
I'm not counting on it, but
I'm leaving my excuse out on the table just in case they come out and lay an egg.
Like, they just wanted to play Philly.
Right.
They're already looking ahead to Philly.
And also, like, I know the Knicks are hot, and I've been talking them up, but they're unproven. Atlanta, unproven. So, like, if you're choosing between playing Philly in the first round and then either Atlanta or the Knicks in the second round, or you can play Brooklyn in the first round. If you somehow find a way against them, you're going to play Milwaukee or Miami. it's like I feel like that's a no-brainer.
It's a good point, but I mean, it's playoff basketball, so you're gonna have
Anything
to
can
play,
happen.
you're gonna have to play the best teams at some point.
Right.
So
Right.
I'd rather they just try to play their best basketball at this point.
It's also all luck too. Like it is. You got to play the best to beat the best, like in playoffs. But at the same time, if you look at some of these teams, some of the championship teams just got hot at the right times and got the right matchups at the right times. Like I feel like, it's I don't know. It's sometimes like depending on who you play, it's like that could change everything. Like when Toronto won this World Championship, they had some good series, but they also went into Golden State without Clay, KD, and like a really banged up. It was just some circumstances
Right. I mean,
come up.
in some winner, we just did it. It's over. Less than a minute into overtime.
Oh, who scored? Who's the score?
Marion.
Oh my goodness, he's playing really well.
1-1, baby. Anyone's ball game now. Let's go.
Take that, Shara.
Take that, Shara. 2 games into the series.
Man, that's good. That makes me feel better. This is such a depressing topic. That made me feel better. All right, so we kind of went on over that. Daily football. Do you have any predictions for this NBA playoffs? Do you got I mean, I know it's early, but do you have any feeling about who you think is going to win it all? Do you have?
I think the Eastern Conference Finals probably going to be Philly and Brooklyn. And then the West, I'm going to go with my son's Phoenix. And I'm going to say Phoenix and Denver. I think we're going to go Phoenix and Denver.
Phoenix and Denver. Phoenix and Denver can't play against each other. They're going to play in the second round.
Give me Utah then. 1-2, 1-2.
1-2, 1-2. You know what I kind of hope it is in the finals? I think this is a hot take here. Get the hot take alert. I think I would love, I'll say that. I would love to have a Suns Knicks finals. That's what I would like.
I don't think the NBA would like that.
Are you kidding me?
No, there's no way the NBA would want that. If they want the Knicks, they're going to want the Lakers on the other side.
I don't think the Lakers are going to do it. Or the Clippers. Maybe the Clippers find a way to make it in there. LA and New York. I think the NBA is dancing around, thinking that the Knicks are now pretty good. Like they've been begging the Knicks to be good for the last 10 years. Because it's a big market team. Like
I mean, I agree with the Knicks part, but if I'm the NBA,
the Suns.
If I'm the NBA and I'm looking at the Western Conference, I'm either begging the Lakers, Golden State, or Clippers to come out of the West because they don't want Utah there. They probably don't want Dallas there. They probably don't want Denver there, Portland, Phoenix. So,
but you don't want you can't. I feel like you could market it around. Chris Paul finally has a chance to win a ring. I feel like that's it's like aging superstar.
They can market whatever finals they get, but
from not making the playoffs to the finals. I feel like they can.
We know historically they want the bigger markets, and New York's a huge market. I don't know how big of a market Phoenix is going to get out of a finals, but it could change. But I don't know.
I think that would be a great.
I just know they would lose their absolute minds over a Lakers-Knicks final.
Lakers-Knicks final. Yeah, I mean, if Lakers, you could market it around going through, from the playing game to the finals. That would be an unbelievable thing. You could say Golden State, they lose everyone, and now they're going from the playing game. Steph puts the team on his back and just carries them to the finals. Oh, by the way, they're going to get a top 5 pick because Minnesota can't find a way to lose at the end of the season. I just they need some serious luck in Minnesota. I was looking at that today. They're projected at 5 or 6 in the ping pong lottery. They need to get to 3.
The odds yet.
Well, they had the like the 6th worst record, 5th or 6th worst record. So they better hope for some funky ping pong ball.
We've seen it
magic.
before. We've seen the Cavs get the number 1 pick out of nowhere. So
they better hope they don't even need the 1 pick. They just need 1, 2, or 3. Or Golden State could make it to the finals and get a top 5 pick in the draft.
we've been there.
We've been there before.
We've made deep playoff runs and gotten the 1 pick.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'd like to see the Knicks in it, and I'd like to see the Suns in it. I thought you'd be more of a Suns guy.
I want the Suns to get there, but if we're talking what the NBA wants, it's not the Suns.
Yeah, very true. All right, so staying with the NBA theme, we're going to go into our segment, Picks of the Week.
Picks of the Week.
All right, so Picks of the Week. This week we're doing the first round of the play-in tournament. So we're going to pick one game from the play-in tournament. And Danny Football, we kind of hinted it's going to be Eastern Conference teams. Danny Football, what's your pick?
I'm going to tempt fate and just go Celtics over Wizards because fuck it. And if they win, I get a win in the win-loss. And if they lose, then we play Philly and arguably a better path. So let's ride. Hedge my bet.
I'm going with who the Celtics, if they lose, who they play, or if the Wizards, if it's what you had, the Wizards would play. I'm going, and this is a total flip of the coin here. And I battled with this. I'm still battling with it as I give my pick right now. Man, it's tough. I'm going Pacers over Hornets just because I had an initial reaction. Levert's been back, and he's hot since he's been back. So, I think he's going to go and have a game. And we'll see what maybe Miles Turner has a game. Sabonis, hopefully hopefully they can show up for the boys. But I need a big win this week for Picks of the Week. So we're going to get it. We're going to talk NBA in a little bit. We're going to take a little break from the Hall of Fame, excuse me. We're going to take a little break from basketball. We're going to jump into Red Sox, Woo Sox. Before we get into Danny Football's return, I just want to continue to admit I'm a man of the people, Danny Football, and I admit when I'm wrong. I'm only human. I am.
Don't put it all on yourself. There are a lot of other people who are in the same boat.
You know what? People.
But you're being the bigger man, and you're stepping up to the plate.
People don't step up to the plate with these things, Danny Football. They talk trash all the time, and they say this guy stinks, and then they never say, you know what, I was wrong.
They never apologize.
I'm apologizing and saying I'm wrong 100 times. Garrett Richards, man, he was dealing again. I have this down, Danny Football. This is a promise right here. Promise live. Well, technically not live.
Keep note, guys. Keep note.
If Garrett Richards throws another gem of a game, I will buy a Garrett Richards jersey.
What do we want to define as a gem of a game?
No more than one run.
Okay. Earned or
run.
Earned or
one run earned. One run earned.
Okay.
And
how many innings pitched?
I mean, he doesn't really go that many innings.
He's gone 7 the last 2 pitches.
Let's go 7. Outings. I was thinking 7. You said 7. Let's go 7.
So 7
innings,
1 earned,
and get the W.
Okay. All right. So that's the decision.
And I will give him an out if the Red Sox don't score more than. We'll say.
Well, no. If he needs the win, then they're gonna have to win the game.
Yeah, but if the Red Sox get shut out, that's not on him. If he gives up one run,
okay,
I'm gonna give him an out. If the Red Sox don't,
the out is if it's a 1-0 game.
1-0 game. They got to score at least. They got to score at least 2. They got to score at least 2 runs. Red Sox 1 run.
Roger. Right.
1 or 2 runs. I'll give him 2 runs. I think that's a fair.
Well, they would need 1. If they only scored 1, then he wouldn't get the decision.
Yeah. So 2 runs. Give him 2 runs.
All right.
2 runs, 7 innings. He can only give up a run. I mark it down right now. Write down the rules. Whoever's listening, producer John, when you're listening, write down the rules. And
I'll just put it next to the notes.
Garrett Richards, I will buy your jersey
7
if
innings,
you throw another gem.
1 earned run.
But the Red Sox keep rolling. We're not going to spend too much time talking about it because it's the same thing. They own the best record, and they're doing it all the same ways. I want to say one thing. They better keep Ice Horse up at the big league level.
I'm going to disagree because I want to see him down in Worcester. So
No, we gotta be a little unselfish here, Danny Football. With the
I want to keep Kike too.
I know. I saw the Blue Sox.
I
post.
loved that tweet. Can we
Keep him? Oh my God! Yeah, I really hope they can find a way to keep Ice Horse down because he's just raking, man. I like him a lot better than what's his name, Arroyo.
Yeah.
But
even
they can't.
Franchi. I mean, he can play.
I mean,
left field,
Franchi,
too.
not Arroyo, Franchi. But they can't DFA Franchi. Like then he'll definitely get picked up. So
Can they
I
not
don't know.
send him down?
Did they send him down?
Can they not? I know some guys have options that they can't.
I think they would have to DFA him and he'll get picked up right away.
Oh, okay, never mind then. I mean, if it gets bad enough, I wouldn't be too sad about that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I hope they keep it going. Ice Horse, Kiki looks good. But
What another series, man. That's another series win over the Angels. I know the
Huge.
Angels aren't the hottest team ever, but
yeah, and I mean it was disappointing not to get the sweep, but you know what? You win the series.
No,
It is what it is.
Shohei Ohtani, man, he's just a freak.
You know what? Shohei Ohtani, I mean, we kind of saw it coming, but not really. Like, I didn't think he was going to be this good. Like, he's playing
When he first came over,
even
or
like
even
after his
just
first
this
year. After his first year or two, like it's like I didn't think he was
I
going to
mean,
be
any guy that isn't from the 1910s that can pitch and hit, I'm shocked.
Yeah. He's I thought it would kind of like one would drop off over the other, but hey, this kid is a legit contender for an MVP award.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, just a kind of quick cleanup of their Sox. You know, they lose that series to the A's, close series to the A's, but they got a big win to close it out and then take 2 or 3 from the Angels. And then we're looking at a 3-game series with the Blue Jays. And by the next time we hit the pod, we'll have already finished a series with the Phillies. So 2. Oh, I didn't know the Blue Jays were that close to us in the standings. This is gonna be a good AL East matchup.
Yeah, this would be a good like I said, it's wicked early. But this will be a good matchup for
it's starting to look like water's starting to find its level with the Blue Jays, Rays, and Yankees. So
yeah.
25-17, pretty good. 1.5 up on Toronto, 2 up on the Yankees, 2 up on the Rays. And then there's Baltimore. That's all right.
They're trying.
We're over 500 at home. We're starting to build this back up. We're looking good.
Now let's talk about the real team that matters, the Woo Sox. Danny Football, tell me about what is it like? Give the listeners and the viewers, for that matter, a little insight to your first encounter with Polar Park.
So this is going to be a free plug for the Instagram. If you go to the Big Red Zone Instagram, you'll see the picture.
What's the Instagram?
At Big Red Zone.
Oh my goodness.
No numbers, no underscores, no periods. At Big Red Zone.
At Big Red Zone.
At Big Red Zone. If you go on Instagram, you'll see the picture I posted from my seat of Polar Park, the inner bowl of Polar Park.
Beautiful
baseball park. Not even done yet. They still have to add the berm out in left field. They're going to add more stuff to center field. They're going to, add some more stuff here and there. Beautiful park. So I'll lay it out for you. We park maybe 5-minute walk away. We walk over, enter through center field. They have so how Polar Park's situated, it's at ground level, but center field against a hill. So we come down one of the back streets, and then we come up one of the hill streets behind it. So we're right at the top. So we come through the gate in center field, and you're right on top of right field, the Worcester wall, baby. You can see everything. They got decks where people are just chilling at tables watching the game. They got the third base pavilion. People are standing up watching the game. My seats, I actually had stools, not even seats. So how my situation was, there's like a half bar top, and then you sat on stools. You can kind of like chill and watch out over the first base stand.
They didn't even give you a back to your chair?
Nah, dude, come on. This is old school stuff. We're sitting on the stool and we're watching the game. But beautiful baseball park, man. I mean, I walked around a little bit. There's not a bad sight line. I wish I knew the dimensions, but it's a pretty good park. Couple quirks. I love it there. So hopefully going Saturday. Just hoping the weather cooperates. It cooperated on Sunday. It was a beautiful day for baseball. So I'm hoping the weather cooperates for Saturday. I'm gonna go Saturday. But dude, you texted me. I love that ballpark, and I can only hope you make it up for one, dude.
I really do want to make it up there. I've seen pictures for the last, my buddies work there, and I've seen pictures for like the last like 6 months of like them putting it together and inside and of the field level, and I definitely got to make it up there for a game or two this summer.
I'm gonna be churning through tickets, man. Any ticket I have is a ticket of yours.
Oh my goodness, you're too kind.
I snuck
You're a
in.
sweetheart.
I don't know if I said it on the pod. I might have said it last week, but I snuck into the booster club at the last second, just so I can get early access to tickets.
Uh-huh.
So my plan, and if they go 100% capacity, man, my plan is to just get tickets for every weekend they're here. So I can only hope I can make it out to every game I can. But it was a good Sunday game. Brought the roommate. It was his birthday. Big 7-4 win. Kike gets the first Grand Slam in Polar Park history. Hits another one later on, followed by who hit the second one? Lopez hits a home run right after him, so we saw back-to-back jacks right off that.
Did Duran hit one?
Duran was so close, man. He was
I heard
close.
he hit a missile.
He sent one. He must have missed the wall by 2 or 3 feet. It was like off the bat. I was like, gone. That's out of here. Just barely missed it to center field, but Kike hit a rocket, man. 457 dead center.
I saw that. I saw the grand
Huge
slam.
grand slam. Huge grand slam. But, I mean, honestly, dude, I think it was through – yeah, because they didn't hit the back-to-back jacks till the 7th inning. They only had 2 hits through 6 innings, and it was I think it was a double and Kike's grand slam. And other than that, it was all walks and hit by pitches. The Syracuse pitcher had no command, man. It was pretty bad. My quick takeaways, other than Kike, I don't want Kike to leave. Dude, Jet Bandy, the catcher, has a hose. That dude was hitting every base runner that was trying to steal. That dude has a hose. I love Marcus Wilson and Duran. It's only a matter of time until he gets called up. But right now, as they're kind of constructed, this Woo Sox team is a wagon, man. This Woo Sox team is an absolute wagon, and they're a fun team to watch. Offensively and defensively.
We were talking about it. We don't know if there's going to be a playoff run for that. Like if there's playoffs for them, I don't know what the minor league baseball is doing, but this definitely has championship caliber written all over it, man. They got some talent at that minor league team.
Quick Google search to see if they're doing playoffs.
Did you get to see? Did Ock hit a home run that game?
No, he didn't.
I saw Ock hit a home run.
Yeah, I thought they.
Like the next day or
I think he hit one the day before.
Yeah,
I think they went back to back because I think they went back to back on Saturday too.
He's my dude. I love Ock.
I did see it was part of like a poll. It was like, did Ock hit that second one? And I was like, no, Kike hit the first one, and then Lopez hit one. But dude, I mean, this team. Let me tell you, this team hits bombs. This team hits bombs.
They may strike out a lot down the stretch of the thing, but they're gonna hit a ton of home runs, dude.
Yeah.
This team,
good home run team, man. Good home run team. There is some power down here in Worcester,
and they got some arms to match it too. They got some pretty good arms there. So I'm excited to see. I definitely try to make it out to one game or two. And we'll do a little Big Red Zone company trip to the Woo Sox. We'll get producer John out.
7-5, baby. 7-5. Let's go.
You know who we also got to get out there is Jared. We'll try to get Jared out.
To a Woo Sox game. He might still be salty because he's a Rhode Island guy.
Oh, that's true. He may not like it. We'll have to ask him about it. Moving on, we're gonna quickly talk about Patriots schedule was released. We have so much to talk about, Danny Football. There's so much here.
We're sprinting through this.
Patriots schedule released. which is awesome. This gets me even more excited about the NFL season. Remember, they switched to an 18-game season. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. We open with Miami.
Do we want to run it down and just say our wins losses?
Let me just say it all through, and
Okay.
we'll talk about it first, and then we can go through it.
All right.
So Miami at home to open it up. Then we go at the Jets, home against New Orleans, home against Tampa, away against Houston, home at Dallas, home against the Jets. Then we go on a road trip to the Chargers in Carolina. We play a home game against Cleveland. We got Thursday Night Football against Atlanta. We come home against Tennessee. We got Monday Night Football right before the bye week in Buffalo. Right after the bye week, we go to Indianapolis, and then we play back-to-back home games against Buffalo and Jacksonville and finish the season, and you guessed it, Miami. Big one, obviously, everyone was talking about is Tampa at home. Tom Brady's return. That's the first of 3 primetime games.
Are you going to that game? I remember you said you would empty the house fund to go to that game.
I didn't think it was going to be legit. My whole house
And
fund.
then the prices came out. I was like, I wonder if he's actually going to blow his entire life savings on this game.
I don't think my life savings.
I think I saw
cover it.
one season ticket holder sold 4 or 3 tickets for like $15,000.
Like, I had this conversation.
It could change now. The capacity is going to be 100%.
No, it's just going to try to make more money.
True.
That's all it's going to be. I know a couple season ticket holders, and I was like, "Are you going to sell the ticket? Like, not for me to buy it because I don't have the money, but I was like, "Are you going to try to sell it?" And a couple of them said, "No, I want to go to the game," but a couple of them were like, "Yeah, I can," and it honestly makes sense. Like, you could sell it and buy another ticket for it and still make the money off of it.
Oh, 1,000%.
I mean? Like, you could sell a ticket for probably $10,000. Or sell a pair of tickets for $10,000 and then, or even more, and then buy a ticket for $1,200. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I've thought about it. I don't think I have the funds right now. Maybe if you send money to the Big Red Zone Fund.
Yeah, toss us a couple bucks. Get Big Red Zone to the Tampa Bay game.
We'll make a little run at the Tampa Bay game, but I don't think unless SeatGeek wants to sponsor this next episode of the Big Red Zone when we go to Tampa to watch the Tampa game. I don't think I foresee me being able to go. But man, that would be an awesome game to watch, man. See Tom's first, and to be quite honest with you, probably his last game in Foxborough.
I would assume so.
That's probably his last one in Foxborough. So I don't know, man. I think it would be kind of cool to see it, but I guess I got till October 3rd to make a decision if I want to spend my life savings on a ticket.
Let's see what we got here. On StubHub, you can get a nosebleed seat for a little over $1,000.
It's just like I got no money. I'm trying to find a job. Daily football. I'm trying to find a job to pay for my.
Never mind. That's for a lot of 4 tickets. So you would have to pay $4,000 for that lot of 4 tickets.
$4,000. So that's $1,000. So I'd have to find 4 other people that want. Or dating football. Here's an idea. Right here, right now. You and I split the $4,000 tickets. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We go, the 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sell the other 2 to make our money back.
Not a bad idea.
Danny football. I think we just made a smart business decision. I think we buy the tickets, sell them for $2,000 each, and then we make
sell them for $2,000 each.
And now this is how we make money.
If you want one single seat in the upper corner, nosebleeds, that'll be $13.50.
Yeah, it's cheaper just to buy the $4,000. $1,000 a ticket. Then we sell the 2 tickets. Even if you sold it for $1,000, we went for free. Think about it, Danny
That's
football.
insane. I can't believe how wow. People don't. No, these people want to see Tom.
They want to see the Tommy. I don't know. I kind of like seeing those big football games. I kind of like watching them right on my couch or going. Now that there's going to be the the requirements are different, I can go to my local establishment. Shout out to the Grand Slam, and watch the game at Grand Slam. I don't know. That will only cost me if it's half price pizza night. That will only cost me like $5.
We got options.
Daily football. I pocket that idea about buying the 4 and selling the 2. I think that
I'll have to check the Danny Football Bank in a couple days.
the money's going right back into it, buddy.
That's
Don't
a
even
good
worry
point.
about it.
All right, let's run down the schedule for wins losses.
All right, so I just got out of it. All right, week 1 in Miami, win loss.
Win. No.
I went. You were.
I'm gonna go loss on this one, and then they're gonna win the week 18 game.
You're out of your mind. If they lose this game, I'll eat my tie.
Yeesh.
I got a win, so I'm 1-0. At Jets.
Win.
If they lose this game, I'll eat your tie.
Oh my god.
I got 2-0 going into New Orleans versus New Orleans at home. Win. See, that's a tricky one. I'm going win on that one, and I'm very shaky on it, but it depends on what they got going into that game. Like it's a lot of question marks for that team, but I'm going win. Tampa.
Loss.
I got a loss too. 3-1.
I think we're both. Oh no, you're 3-1. I'm 2-2.
Houston at Houston.
Win.
Again, it depends on if is Deshaun Watson playing. I think
It's not looking like you will.
it's not really looking too good. It looks like Tyrod Taylor, so that's why I went with a win, 4-1. Dallas.
Win.
See, this one I'm a little hesitant on. Man, that's a tough one.
We destroyed Dallas the last time they came up here.
Yeah, but I mean, Dak could be back.
Dak's coming off a freaking torn knee.
Yeah. You talked me into it. I'll do the win. So I have 5-1. Jets.
4-2 win.
Jets at home. Yeah, that's 6-1. At Chargers.
Win.
Win. At Carolina.
That's a win.
That's a win. Cleveland at home. I have this one as a loss. I think this
Probably going to be a loss, yeah.
I think this is a losable game for them, especially if Baker and Chubb and everyone, their defense continues to, get better. I think that's
This one, you could probably interchange with the New Orleans game. Like, New Orleans could be a good team, and we lose that game, and then all of a sudden by week 10, Cleveland sucks, and then we beat them in week 10.
right. Now, this is also a kind of a big one, too, because this is around if we struggle for some reason, which I don't foresee this happening. I'll tell you in a second. I like this is a week this is a typical week where you have to make a decision. Like, are we going with the rookie or are we going with Cam? Because it's like halfway through the season. So that's a game to kind of circle on the calendar. Like, I think it's going to be Cam because looking at the first half of the schedule, like you have him at what 7-2. I have him at an 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through, like. They're not going to – if Cam gets us 8-1, they're not going to bench him. So
No. But, I mean, if they start losing Jet games, then he's going to get benched.
Right. All right, at Atlanta.
Win.
I think they're trash. Tennessee.
I think I had this as a loss.
I had this as a loss,
Vrabel,
too.
The Vrabel factor, and,
Yeah.
They always play as close.
Derrick Henry will end up running for like 300 yards. At Buffalo. I have this as a loss. I have them splitting with Buffalo.
I want to say
Monday Night
loss.
Football.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football going into a bye week. Like this says like, oh, let's get back to the drawing board all over it.
They're heading into the bye. What do you have them as for a record?
I have them at 10-3.
I have
them losing to Buffalo, Tennessee, and Tampa.
All right, so they're 9-4 for me because I have them. Oh no, they're gonna be 8-5. Yeah, 8-5.
You have them 8-5.
Yeah,
who's your 5 losses?
Tampa,
Miami,
Cleveland.
Oh, you're right.
Tennessee, Buffalo.
I have them one less. I have them. Then I have them at 10-4.
9 and
Got them
4.
at 9-5. Right?
9 and 4, and then I'm 8 and 5.
9-4, and then 8-5. Okay. Bye week at Indy.
This is gonna depend on Wentz, but I think it's a win.
I think it's a win too.
On paper right now, it's a win.
I got to see how Wentz does and how Indy's kind of been a weird team because like if you look at the last 3 years, they've been really good, but they've done it with now it's going to be the third different starting quarterback or fourth, right? They went a year without getting because they had Luck, then they had a weird year, then they had last year with Rivers. Now they're going to have
They did Luck,
Wentz.
Hoyer, Brissett, and then Rivers.
Yeah, so like this could be a weird year. I like they could be really good and they could be really bad. So, but I have them winning this game.
And then Buffalo, this is gonna.
I have them win.
This is the win at home.
Jacksonville, they should destroy.
And then I think they beat
at Miami.
I think it's huge that it's in Miami in January.
That's huge. It's going to be like a normal like fall game. It's going to be like the same weather.
Because we always struggle when it's an early Miami game and it's hot.
Right. I think, and I also think both teams would prefer
and the fact
to play
that
this game at home.
And the fact that everything's shifted now and it's going to be like a freaking like not just first week of January, but like second Sunday of January. Like that's even more time for it to cool off.
Right. I think it's going to be nice. It's probably going to be nice and 70. Nice and 70. That's perfect football weather. So what was the final? What did you have?
All right, they were 8-5 going into the bye. Win. All right, and they finish 3-1, so that makes them 11-6.
And I have them still with 4 losses. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you would have been 12-5.
12-4. I had them winning the last 4.
Okay.
So I would have had them at 12-4. 13-4.
17 games.
13-4.
Okay.
Which I think is overshoot. I feel like they can. Like, and we talked about it too. Like, what happens if something miraculous happens and Deshaun Watson plays again at Houston? Then that's like a.
I mean, they also sucked last year, so it doesn't really matter if he plays or not.
Very
Dallas,
true.
I mean, Dallas could show up and kick our ass. Herbert can shoot us out. There's no way Sam Darnold or Teddy Bridgewater is going to beat us.
Going back up, like Jameis Winston is a gunslinger. If he's playing,
Kamara could get 5-6 touchdowns on us.
Right. Cleveland.
And then if Wentz is looking like old Wentz, Indianapolis can win. So very easily, 3-4 games could go back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, Buffalo sweeped us last year. Who's to say that Buffalo doesn't? I mean, the second time we played Buffalo was, we were out of it. And the first time we played Buffalo, we were a fumble away from going ahead in that game.
Right. So,
it's very close. I think, again, this year it's a lot of question marks. I think, this is a really late bye week for this team, and the one person that I think it really benefits is Cam Newton. Because normally going into the
pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, normally you can pull the trigger with the bye week, but I mean, are you going to pull the trigger?
No, not in week 14.
With the last 4 games of the season,
no. I mean, if we're like dog shit by week 14, maybe you give Mac Jones the last 4 games, but
if we're really bad,
right,
you would
but I was about to say you're gonna have a quick hook if it's looking really bad.
Yeah, I think especially looking at the first 2 games, you play in the first half of the season, you played the Jets twice, you play Miami, play Carolina, play Houston, hopefully with you play you have a pretty good schedule going into the first half of the season. You also play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games at home. So more than half of your first half games are at home. And the games you play away are against the Jets, who stink, Houston, who doesn't have a franchise quarterback, and the Chargers, who, that could be a good game, and Carolina, who stinks. You could they have a pretty good first half of the schedule. So if you get halfway through that and Cam stinks, you got to have a hook on him. Like you need to say, all right, let's turn it over to the young gun and let's see what he can do. The one thing I'm a little disappointed in, looking at the Tampa game, I kind of wish it was a week 13. Like I wish that was the Monday Night Football game. Like, because by then we may have Mac Jones as a starter. It's like more of a storyline. It like there's more like the season's already kind of been established.
Well, we saw Tampa get off to a slow start last year. I wonder if we can just catch them sleeping.
Very well could. And I think the Patriots have a chance to kind of get the ball rolling with those first two games, like getting their feet wet with Miami and the Jets. I feel like that's a good first couple of games. We should look into getting Jets tickets. It's a Sunday 1:00 game. That would be like a good. We've done actually. John and I went with our fantasy football group like a few years ago. That was like a fun day trip. But we'll have to see. I think the over/under was set at 10 or 9.
It was 9 flat.
9 flat. So I mean, looking at the schedule, I'd take the over on that. I also said hammer the over last year, and I hope you didn't listen to me. So we'll have to see. All right, so let's move on. We're moving back to the basketball world. Really great weekend for me, and I know Danny football too, because this is like our childhood heroes here. Hall of Fame inductions. KG, Timmy Duncan, and Kobe Bryant were all inducted in the Hall of Fame. They were the headlines of the class. I think I said this when they were announced. I said, this is the best class, Hall of Fame class I've ever seen. Like, I don't think there's been too many that have, like, headliners that have topped this group. You know what I mean? Like, as a collective. I mean, KG and Tim Duncan are two of the best power forwards of all time. I'd argue that they are 1 and 2. Like, they're the 1 and 2 of power forwards of all time. And then, obviously, Kobe is Kobe. So, I'm interested here with Dave Football. Do you agree that this is the best class that you have seen going into the Hall of Fame?
I think these are three guys that easily could have headlined their own classes, and the fact that all three of them are in the same one is pretty special. Considering they all went out at the same time, and that they're all coming in at the same time. I mean, it was. I don't know what'll ever really top it. To be honest, I mean, these are just like three bona fide like generational talents. So I don't know what'll ever top this, to be honest.
What is like? I mean, we can go through it. What's like your favorite moment from one of these three guys?
From the Hall of Fame induction or just a career?
No, just careers.
Obviously KG in the 2008 championship with the Anything's Possible is huge. Tim Duncan, probably that last Spurs championship, still getting it done.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Kobe, there's a million things. You can say the back-to-backs, like almost did a whole nother trilogy, almost did a whole nother three-peat. The free throws on the blown Achilles.
Yeah, that's
dropping 60 in his last game. Then he had the 81-point game up in Toronto. I mean, that dude was just a highlight reel. So, all three of these guys, you can go down the list for incredible moments.
I love how tough all three guys were. Like the toughness of these three. They were warriors. Like I think that's something that people in Boston sports, like Boston sports, I think connect to most, is just guys that are warriors and they're like workhorses and will battle through anything. KG, he was my favorite. He was my favorite player growing up watching. I mean, my favorite player of all time, I think I've made it quite clear on this podcast, is Larry Bird. But I never got to watch him play. I saw live anyway. I've watched all his games. Like I've watched a bunch of his games. I've watched all his documentaries. I've watched highlights of him. But KG was the guy I got to watch growing up, and he was just unbelievable. He's like the reason I love basketball, and like a lot of things I try to do even to this day, it stems from watching KG and what he did. He was he wasn't the first, but he was kind of one of the people that made the stretch four popular, with his mid-range jump shot. His toughness, like he was a scrapper. He would, talk trash. It was so fun to watch him play. And, the knuckles push-ups in the finals run, making Big Baby cry after them giving up a 20-point lead and having him go in. There's so many funny things. Area 21 is hilarious. And I'm happy he got to finish his career in Minnesota. And that was a nice way for him to finish his career. Timmy, I'll always remember that last championship because it was like, he's still battling. I felt bad. Like I really wanted them to beat the Heat the year before and for them to come so close. And then they battle back the next year and they win it all. It was awesome. And like you said, Kobe, there's so many. I mean, the torn Achilles is one that stands out. The classic when he dislocates his finger and breaks his finger or something, and he goes over to the bench in between plays, and the guy, the head trainer, pops it back in, and then he goes right back out and plays. It's like he would play if they cut off his ankles, and he would be like, "All right, let's lace up and let's go." I got to see his final game in the Garden. And it to this day is probably the most special. Nah, that's not true. It's up there. It's one of the most special games I've ever seen in my life. I think, he led a fourth quarter, end of the game charge to win the game at his age. It was amazing. At the end of the game, everyone was cheering for Kobe. It's been a few times in my life where I've seen sporting events they did that. One of which was Derek Jeter's last game at Fenway, his last game of his career, and the other was Kobe's last game in the Garden. It was unbelievable to watch. It was something I'll remember for the rest of my life. So those three were unbelievable, well deserved. They were obviously, like we said, these are three people that we looked up to. It's kind of cool to see the guys that we looked up to when we were younger and now making it into the Hall of Fame. Great class. It was a great bunch of speeches. And it makes me think of looking on to the next year's class of Hall of Fame, which is headlined by the one and only The Truth, Chris Webber, who's well-deserved, long time coming, well-deserved. Bosch, Ben Wallace, who, to note, is the first undrafted player to make it into the Hall of Fame. I loved Ben Wallace growing up. And the one and only Bill Russell is being inducted as a coach. That
threw me off when I saw that. I thought it was for a player, and I was like, I thought he was already in as a player, but coach makes sense.
Yeah, being inducted as a coach.
A little overdue, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I think that's pretty outrageous that he hasn't been inducted already. Also worth noting, Rick Aldman is being inducted too as a coach. What are your thoughts on looking at the players? What thoughts? I mean, it's hard to top.
Yeah,
KG,
I was going to say,
Kobe.
Going from this year's class to that one is, it's a drop off, but a lot of those guys are kind of, cut from the same cloth, solid players that had, impactful careers. Did they ever reach the status of a KG, Tim Duncan, or Kobe? No, but they still, contributed to the game in a way that I think makes them all Hall of Famers.
Yeah. I'm happy to find
in the case of Bill Russell, I mean, obviously that just is a historic first black coach. Should have already been done, especially
coach.
Especially with Tommy Heinsohn already have been inducted as a player and a coach. Bill Russell definitely.
I'm shocked he hasn't been inducted.
Should have already happened.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked at that too. I'm happy Chris Webber got in. I mean, he's kind of had a delay in being inducted, but he was a heck of a player. I mean, he was a little before our time, but he was just before my time getting into basketball. But he was an unbelievable player. So which brings us to we're gonna play Fame or Lame. We don't have any theme music, but that's okay. Fame or Lame. So we're gonna go through players. I know we're running a little late on the show, but we're gonna go through some player names. And my thought is, we're gonna say if they're a Hall of Famer or not in the NBA. My thought always in criteria is A, it's a gut decision. Like I feel like if you have to think about it, they're probably not Hall of Famers. And two, can you tell the story of the game without them? Also statistically and like championships wise, that also feeds into it. But let's start us off with a nice one. Who's going to be eligible for, I think, the year after like the Paul Pierce class? Manu Ginobili.
I'm going to say Hall of Fame because you can't tell the 2-decade run of the Spurs without Manu Ginobili.
Agreed. Also taken into the fact he's one of the like you think of Dirk, like he's one of the pinnacle European born NBA
international
players,
player, yeah.
International players. Like he kind of put Argentina on the map and like just like you said, Spurs run, yeah, he's a champion. But also that fact of like being one of the greatest overseas players of all time coming in here. I think that adds into it. So
and then
definitely a fame.
I mean, and I was going to say you can say the same for Tony Parker. I mean, same thing.
I was just going to ask. I was going to say Tony Parker.
Story of the Spurs and an international player, part of history. So he has to be in.
I think that whole group, like that big three. It's kind of like the Celtics big three. That big three is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I think there's no doubts about that. This guy is kind of. I mean, he hasn't got in. Tim Hardaway.
My only problem with Tim Hardaway is that if it's been this long, I'm not sure if it's going to happen at all.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, if we have to think about it for years, I don't think it's. I don't know
what's going to change now.
He didn't get another couple points this season to make me change my mind from last year. Rasheed Wallace.
I love Rasheed, but no.
It's tough because Rasheed. He won he has 2 rings, right? He won one with the Pistons.
He won one with the Pistons. I don't know who he won the other one with.
Didn't he win? No, he came in. He was on the Celtics championship runs, but never won a ring with them. It's tough, man. Rasheed Wallace was like, classic. Like I think of Ben Wallace with Rasheed Wallace. Like he was just a stud. But I think you're right. Like you have to hesitate. You have to think about it. Can you tell that? It's hard to tell the story of the game without him, man. Like he was, when you think of big men in the league in the early 2000s, I think of Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace, like centers. But I think my gut tells me no. So I gotta say no. But it's like that's a tough one. If you could argue the other way too. I think.
And then we got his teammate Chauncey.
Yes. I
think so. Big shot, Chauncey. I mean, even outside of the stuff he did with the Pistons, I mean, he had a long career.
Yeah.
Just from start to finish, even outside of the bad boy Pistons 2004. So I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. Sean Marion?
No.
There's a lot of people would argue yes, but I don't see it.
No, just off the bat, no.
No. Rondo. I'd argue yes. Here's why.
I think he'll get in.
I argue yes, and I think since he got a championship with the Lakers this past year and was like a kind of an important person on that team, I think that helps his case even more. 2-time champion, won it in both conferences, was key player on both teams. I feel like when you think of point guards, I think of Rajon Rondo, like of this era, not of all time. But when you think of this era of point guards, I think of Rajon Rondo. Just his assist total, he can rebound. He was kind of a lesser version of Westbrook when we thought of, in my opinion, we thought of it like he would get triple doubles before those were like I didn't really think a triple double was huge. Like it was very uncommon in the early 2000s, and he would sometimes get those he would rebound, he would assist, and he would score, his 12-point, whatever he would get. So I think, yes, I think he is a Hall of Famer.
Melo?
Yeah.
I think that's easy.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one. Top 10 of all time in points. Like I hope he gets a ring. I really hope he gets a ring, but he's already done it without it.
And then Vince, I think that's easy.
I think it is only because you can't tell the story of the game without Vince.
Right. The 2000 dunk contest, and then he also put Canada on the map.
Right. I think he has to.
He also had a long career, so.
Yeah, that part doesn't really. I mean, it kind of holds.
I think
weight
it
with me.
speaks to being able to stay in the game because it wasn't like he was just coming off the bench
But-
for like some glory minutes, but he was.
But stay in the game. He was coming in for glory minutes the last couple of years of the seat, like his career.
We can't give Rondo that much credit for the Lakers championship then.
No, during the playoff championship, he played some minutes.
When you have AD and LeBron, it's pretty easy to just ride the coattails.
I'd argue that he played
Compared to what Vince had to play with, I don't know.
I would say look at his playoff experience. Like, if he doesn't get hurt in that Bulls series when he was with the Bulls in the Celtics run, if he doesn't get hurt in that series, the Celtics are out like way sooner. Like, I feel like he's been key every playoff matchup. He's been a key contributor, even to his age that he is today. And I think he's gonna be a big piece in the Clippers run this year. If the Clippers win the World Series, win the NBA title this year, like, which is very possible, and he's a key player, that's just cements my point about him. I think he's a gamer. I really do. I think he's a veteran point. Like, I think it's so important to have a veteran point guard, and I think that's invaluable to a championship team.
Vince Carter, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
D-Wade, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's not even close. It's
Powell, yes. I'm going to say
I
Powell
say
again.
yes. I think Jack Moran and I have had an argument about this. I don't think he thought he was a Hall of Famer. I disagree. I think he deserves it.
Dwight Howard? Yikes. I'm going to say yes. I mean, if Ben Wallace is getting in, I guess Dwight Howard will get in.
Yeah, when you put it that way, but like, if you ask me in Orlando, like, is he getting in? I'd say 100%, no doubt. But he really hasn't done anything for the last 15 years, 10 years.
I mean, he had a little spurt in Houston with Harden, and it's
no. Maybe a year. I guess you're
look it
right.
up.
For a season, I think you're right. I think he had a decent run, but I just don't see it, man. Like, basically, I think his career kind of fizzled out. Now, it's not over yet. If he's been playing well with the 76ers, if they make a title run, that could change my mind completely. But I think it's close. You know, if you think about story of the game, like, the dunk contest with him, like Superman, is time in Orlando, kind of carrying that team into the finals against Kobe. I mean, he got buzzsawed, but he carried that team into the finals. He won a championship. It's if you're looking at it, you're right. Like, comparing to Ben Wallace, I guess he should get in, but I kind of look at him like Rasheed. Like, if we said no to Rasheed, I got to say no to Dwight.
all right. Who's next?
Westbrook.
Westbrook's in. Easy.
I think he's in. Like, the triple doubles is
He has too many stat records at this point.
yeah, I think it's impossible for him not to get in. Couple of coaches, Doc
Rivers has to be in
yeah,
there.
he has to be in there. Rick Carlisle. He's a close one. I'd say no.
I'm going to say no.
I want to say no, but he did lead that championship team against the Miami Heat. I mean, that was mainly Dirk.
If he had done anything since, maybe.
Yeah, I had him as a no, but that would probably be the argument for him. Kevin Love.
I think he'll get in.
Really?
I think he can.
I had him as a no. He does have the stats from when he played in Minnesota. He has the couple of rings, but I don't know.
The last couple of years don't help him, but
Yeah, he hasn't really done anything since the championship, last
I think
championship.
they'll look at those rings and like his early dominance and kind of just toss him in.
He kind of does remind me of like the Chris Bosh type
Yeah,
because he's the same cat. He's
like
the same player,
explosive early career, and then kind of just settle into a super team to get your rings.
right? With LeBron, like it's the same. He fit the Bosh LeBron model.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
One or
I
the other probably
guess
gets in.
but I don't know. You're right. He probably will end up going in. I just would say no. I'm not a big Kevin Love guy either, so maybe that's my personal bias. Kyle Lowry.
I'm gonna say no, just because I'm not a Kyle Lowry guy.
I'm gonna say no, but the argument could be made that he helped put Toronto back on the map. I think I think like his. I'm a no, so don't make that face, Danny
He
Football.
definitely played a part in it, but if
Kawhi.
it weren't for Kawhi, then I don't think he's even close.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm a no, so don't get on me, Danny
I don't
Football.
know, but in terms of,
I'm trying to think of like the other side. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here with the.
right. But if Kawhi doesn't get him a championship, I don't even think it's.
Yeah, I'd say no.
But he definitely played a huge role in that title win. So
Yeah, and
He
like
helped-
if you
he-
think.
he helped his case.
And if you think of like a Mount Rushmore of Toronto, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think Kyle Lowry would be at the top of the.
Ooh, a Mount Rushmore, Toronto. That's a good debate.
Real quick, 4.
Carter, T Mac, Bosch,
Lowry.
and yeah, I guess he would be 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, all 4 of those guys were big in their times. Like that's what I would have had.
Maybe just Kawhi by default because you want him a championship.
No, we can't have a one and done player. You did get him a championship.
He did more
but
in 1 year than he won more championships in 1 year than everyone else did.
That is true. Depending on the year you look at it, Danny Football, Kyle Lowry got a championship 1 year too.
Same year because of that guy.
All right, fair enough. I'm a no. I already said I'm a no. Don't get on me.
I'm trying to just tear him down as far as I can.
That you just don't like him. Blake Griffin.
No.
I can't stand Blake Griffin, so that's a personal vendetta. I mean,
He's too injured. He never really saw his full potential.
Yeah, he
Lob
always
City
got
was-
hurt and they
Lob
lost.
City
all
was
the time.
Lob City was fun, but they never won anything.
Yeah, I'd say no. John Wall.
No.
Yeah, I'm a
He
no.
hasn't done anything either.
I'm a big fan of John Wall. Don't get me wrong.
I love John
I
Wall.
love John Wall, but I just don't see it. Unless now again, some of these guys are still playing. If they somehow help lead like John Wall's in Houston, if they somehow make a turnaround next year and he's a big part of it, I may be easily swung. But right now, I think it's a no. Lamarcus Aldridge. I say no.
Yikes.
I say no. He had some incredible years in
I'm gonna say no
Portland.
because he never really he had the like if you compare him to a Bosch or a Kevin Love, he had like that initial boom, but he never got the championships.
Yeah, he picked the wrong team to go to. He went to the Spurs, which I guess he just kind of continued to put up numbers, but he never played with those
He just
stud
jumped
players.
on at the wrong time.
Yeah. I normally that's the last guy we have. I normally like to end with a Hall of Famer, but I guess I fizzled out at the end of my list here. What's one name that you can come up with, Danny Football? Is there one name that you can come up with to end this
Top
off?
of my head,
Controversial one?
controversial one.
Not I mean, whatever you think.
I'll give you an easy one, Chris Paul.
Yeah, I feel like that was that was one of the guys I had. I thought that was easy.
Yeah, Chris Paul easily gets in there. If you want a borderline guy, maybe
Draymond Green.
that's a good borderline one. I'd say he gets in just based off his championships alone.
I give him in because defensively, he was like
Yeah, he gets a lot. Yeah, he had those.
defensive players
Yeah,
of the year awards,
definitely
he had
helps.
championships. He was big players on those championships. I give him the yes, but a lot of people argue no.
I mean, the argument can definitely be made for no, especially how he's performed the last few seasons.
I always had the triple single the last few
Triple
seasons.
singles.
All I saw another one. People like were against Clay, but I Clay's one of the best shooters I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's hard to argue. Injuries is kind of hurting him, but
He
all
still
right.
has time though.
Yeah, I think he's still got some years. So that was fame or lame. Let us know in the comments or DM us on Instagram or Twitter. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of our choices, and let us know if there's any other fame or lame. If there's anyone else you want to hear an opinion about. We're gonna move on to our final segment of the night, the people's topic.
It's the people's topic, baby. People's topic.
So for people's topic, you can write in each week at our Instagram or Twitter at Big Red Zone. This week we got a couple of them. We're going to start with fan of the show. We've heard from him a couple times, the Andy Man 11. He says, what are some of your biggest sports memories and moments, both playing and as a fan?
Playing, geez, that's gonna be low hanging.
We're going to go, yeah,
fruit.
that's low-hanging fruit for us. We're going back in the memory bank for these ones.
Jeez.
I did have, I think, 46 points in a co-ed intramural game, but that's not something I'm too particularly proud. Oh, I won a co-ed intramural championship.
I led the intramural basketball team to a championship.
You were a coach, yeah, coaching.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's probably a highlight.
Sports, I probably, as a fan, is probably better. For
As a
us.
fan, mine's gonna be the 04 Red Sox championship.
Yeah. In person? Do you have an in-person
in
one?
person? In person.
When you're marinating on it, there's a couple that come to mind.
I don't know if I've been to any like historic games though.
I got a couple in me.
Go ahead.
One, I saw the KG Paul Pierce return to Boston. That was like unbelievable when they came back with the Nets. Their first game back in the Garden. That was pretty unbelievable. The Kobe game that I just talked about a little while ago. And when I was younger, I saw the back-to-back home runs.
Oh, against the Yankees?
Against the Yankees. I saw that. It was Manny, Veritek. Who else was that? Manny, Veritek. It's like a couple of guys that you wouldn't expect either. Drew, maybe it was JD Drew.
Oh, I don't have any like historic ones. I have like weird ones. I was at Jonathan Papelbon's first MLB start.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
I was at Jonathan Papelbon's first MLB start. I was at Eric Gagne's Red Sox debut. Bruins. I went to a lot more. I was a Red Sox kid. I didn't really go to many Bruins games.
I've never been to a Bruins game.
Bruins games, I think. I remember someone got beer thrown on him at a Bruins Phillies Flyers game. That was cool. See people get in a fight in the balcony. Haven't been to a Patriots game. Let me think of a Celtics.
We're gonna be going to the Bucks game. That will be great.
Yeah, Celtics. I was at the first Celtics game post Kobe. And then other than that, nothing really too significant. I saw the first Grand Slam at Polar Park, Kike Hernandez. So
that's the one you should go with. That's the best one.
The best one. First Grand Slam at Polar Park.
My first Patriots game. I've only been to. Luckily, I'm very thankful I've been to because it's hard to go to Patriots games. I've been to like a couple in my lifetime. But what my first Patriots game, you know what it was? It was the game after Tom Brady tore his ACL.
Yeesh.
That was my first game when we played Miami and we got torched.
Matt Castle's first NFL start.
He laid an egg. It was just an absolute terrible game to watch. Then years later, I went back. The game I saw was Tom Brady was starting, and we saw Miami.
I might have been at the game where Manny, they kept having there were rumors that they were going to trade him. It was the trade deadline game, and then he wasn't going to play. They pinch hit him, and then he hit a ball up the middle to walk off. I might have been at that game, but I can't remember exactly.
Well, that's a bunch of sports memories for you, Andy, man. We're more fans than we're both championship players and coaches, but we haven't done it at the big level. All right. Our last question comes from our man, Joseph_Celia. He writes, who is your pick to be the NFL team that is disappointing and underachieves a lot this year?
I think the Steelers, man. I think the Steelers are going to have a real wake-up call after last season.
That's a good one.
I think they got exposed late in the season. They got exposed in the playoffs. I think they're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, that one's interesting, too, because they lost some people, but they also gained,
Don't they have the hardest schedule, too, now?
They do have the toughest schedule, so that's a good one to pick. Stalling.
I think it's going to be interesting how the season plays out, especially after how much of a shit show last season was. This is going to be like the first full season back, so we're going to have to see how teams respond.
I think one that could be a disappointment. I mean, I think the Steelers have the biggest risk of that. A couple wild cards to throw in there that I think are very possible. The Rams, they just traded a lot to get Stafford, and
yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
I feel like that could easily crumble. And another one that's a big, there's two, I guess, now that I'm thinking of it, that are big pressures on these two young quarterbacks to play well and to have their teams play well is Baltimore and Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona needs to take that step now.
Yeah, they finished 500 last year. Excuse me. And I feel like you play 1 year with the two Hopkins and Kyler playing together. I think they need to take that step forward. And also Lamar himself has to take a step forward and stop being looked at as just a running quarterback. I think they need to finally look at him and say, this is our guy. So those are my two guys. Two teams, excuse me. So that's it for People's Topic. Remember, you can write in each week at our Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can also you can listen to us each week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast and Danny Football. Tell a friend. That's all for this week's episode of Big Red Zone. My thanks to Danny Football for joining.
Go Woo
as
Sox,
always.
guys. Go Woo Sox.
Go Woo Sox. Have a great week, everyone.